Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today back working on the Diresta Bandsaw, and we've got the bottom wheel that we need to get all ready to put back over on the machine. Now, we've already done the top wheel, and basically the first step here is I want to get this mounted up over on the horizontal boring mill, which we are shamelessly using as a giant lathe instead of a boring mill. We're basically instead of with a milling machine, the cutter goes round and round. With a lathe, the work goes round and round. We're going to make the work go round and round, the wheel go round and round. So basically, technically, it'll be a lathe, although this is really a milling machine. So we're going to get creative. We've already done this on the top wheel. I want to true up the outside. These wheels have wooden rims, like we talked about before. It has a steel hub, steel spokes. Those are mounted to a wooden rim that's basically steam bent wood. Not sure of the species, maybe ash. I'm not 100% certain, but I want to true these up. These are 100 years old plus. With the other one, there was a little bit of run out in them, and we just want to true them up. We are going to put rubber tires back on them. We're going to pull these rubber tires off, but we do have rubber tires to go back on them before it's all said and done. So, without further ado, let's get started. We're going to get the shaft mounted in this hub. We'll get this mounted over here on the boring mill. We'll get this trued up, and we got to get it painted. We got to get it mounted to the bandsaw, and just basically get it all checked out and installed. So let's get at it and get her done.
I think we're about ready to go here. I'm going to move my cutter in there. We got a big spot there. It's got to come out of it. And I'm going to move my cutter out the back. That's about 100 thou right there. I'm going to do this in a couple of passes, I think. All right, we're just starting to cut here. And as expected, it is running out a good bit. So we'll true that face up. I'm running, what are we, about 15 RPM on the wheel. Of course, it's a 48-inch diameter, so the surface speed is much faster out here where we're cutting. And honestly, we could probably run a little bit faster, but I'm just taking my time. And I got my feed going across that on the slowest speed, which is, I think, 3 thousandths per revolution. So it's the same thing we did last time. It worked out pretty good. So we're just going to let her roll across there. And we'll have to make a couple of passes here to get it all cleaned up, I'm sure. But we'll get her done. You can see the whole setup. Everything's going good. Just slicing that right out of there. You can see the run out. There's one little spot that really jumps out over here. But I think we'll get it all cleaned up. Like I said, this is just the first pass. We'll take another pass and finish cleaning it up after this one. All right, I've put in another 50 thousandths. And we're going to make another pass across there and hope that that'll clean it up. So far, it looks like it might, but we won't know till we get all the way across. Let's take a look. I mean, that looks pretty good, cleaned up. Got the bolt head poking through that one. And looks like we've lost the wooden dowel on that one. And a little bit up into there. And I'm thinking there's a couple others in here where we got kind of here to the surface. So I think what I want to do is see if I can plug some of these. We're going to have a rubber tire on here, but still, I just don't like the way that looks. So
Yeah, we'll see what we can do with that. So here's the game plan. I went and bought me a 1.25 inch piece of dowel, and we're going to basically epoxy these blanks in here. They're going to stick out, but I will come back and we'll turn it down. So you get a little pick or something. I need to pick that one out a little bit to get it to fit, but we're going to go around here and just epoxy all these in. 2-part epoxy comes in this nice little applicator. I'm just going to kind of, well, say I am. All right, number 2 in. So I let the epoxy cure overnight, and what I want to do now is cut these off more or less flush with the saw so that we can turn that again. I've got a flush cutting saw here. It's basically only has a kerf on one side, and you just go down. It really is not supposed to mar the surface up underneath it. There's a little latch here that connects it where you can flip that saw around, and I guess I didn't have it tight. We'll try that again. All right. Here we go. I'm just going to go around and get all of those, and then I'm going to go around and we'll just very lightly face this off again, or cut this off again, maybe just take about 5 or 10 thousandths. That'll just clean off any of this epoxy and clean up these plugs that we put in. So let me go ahead and get the rest of these cut flush, and we'll do that. One more pass. So I just finished going back across this. I took 10 thousandths off. I think it's cleaned up good. I've got a flat disc here. This is a 120 grit flat disc on an angle grinder, and I'm just going to kind of sand the sides of the wheel as well as the face of the wheel just to kind of smooth it up a little bit. And on the sides, just kind of get that dark color off so it matches the freshly turned face we got. All right, I think that looks pretty good. We'll be putting rubber tires on these so they'll be covering up all these plugs, but that should give us a nice finish. I think we are through over here on the horizontal mill, so we'll pull this wheel off, and we're going to get it ready for paint, I guess, next. I do need to sand. I took my disc sander and kind of sand in between these on the inside. I'll do that over on the sawhorses though. So let's get this pulled off. All right, I think we are ready to pull the wheel off here. I will say I went in with the random orbital sander and sanded in between all the spokes. Also just sanded the outside and of this with a little bit finer sandpaper just to clean it up a little bit more than what it was. We've got the wheel supported there by the gantry crane, so I'm going to release the tailstock down here, unlock it. All right, it should be hanging now. And we'll just take her out of here. My chain hung up here in the T-slots on the table. There we go. think we're ready to go ahead now and start painting the spokes on this. I did come in here and just put some blue painter's tape around the spoke to keep the paint off of the wood. So that will help. I did the same thing on the last one then. I'm just using some Rust-Oleum paint here, which is one of my favorite paints to use on old machine restorations. It's just a good enamel. And this is a semi-gloss, same paint that we pretty much use to paint the rest of the machine with. So anyway, we're just going to get in here and get everything painted. I will paint one side and then let it dry for a little while, and then I'll flip it over and we'll paint the other side of the spokes and everything. It's a two-step process, but we'll go ahead and get this side done. Won't watch you paint. I hate painting. Painting is, to me, boring. I never have liked painting, but it's part of the job, and to do a restoration, you got to do it. You know, there's lots of things that I don't enjoy doing that I do. It's part of being an adult. All right, I'll bring you guys back. Well, while we're waiting on the paint to dry on the other wheel, I want to go ahead and get the tire installed on the top wheel that we have over here. So what this is just a big rubber band. It's made for a 48-inch diameter wheel. I got these from Woodworkers Toolworks, who sells these in all kinds of different configurations. They have them custom made. Unfortunately, they did not have one that was 3 inches wide for this diameter wheel, which is the width of the wood. They had one that's 2 inches. And to get a 3-inch wide one, they said right now with their supplier, it'd probably be over a year before I could get one. So I made the decision, 2 inches is plenty wide enough. We're probably not going to be running a 3-inch wide bandsaw blade on this thing. So it's not going to matter. We're just going to kind of live with what we got. So we're going to go ahead and get this installed. What I'm going to do is start out by just kind of clamping this in place, and then we're going to stretch it on. It's going to be a tight fit. So I'm going to just use a couple of pieces of plywood and a C-clamp, and I'm going to just clamp it right here in the middle on the top, and then I'll clamp it 180 degrees apart, and then we'll stretch it on. I find this to be a lot easier than just trying to stretch the whole thing on all the way around. So let me go ahead and get these clamped top and bottom, and we will start the big stretch. You know, I want to get this as even as I can. Just makes the stretching go a little bit easier. I'll be able to fine tune the centering of this band on the wheel once we get it stretched. And I want to get that more or less in the directly across from it. And I also want to go ahead and try to get this tire pretty well centered on the wheel, although we can do some adjusting on that after the fact. So, but it's going to be easier if I get it close to start with here. So let me go ahead and get this. Need an extra hand once again. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take some webbing here. I'm just going to wrap it around this a couple of times. It just kind of helps hold this in place as I'm going around, and I'll kind of move it around with me as I go. I'm going to come on to this side. We're going to kind of stretch this tire over to that same general area. Again, take the webbing. Come over here, another one. That's sliding around. All right. So that's got half of it on. And that's usually the easy half. Shoot. All right. Whew. That was a workout. Get these clamps off now. So next thing I want to do on these tires is I want to equalize the tension on them. The way we stretch these on is probably tighter in some places than the other. So what I've got is just a dowel rod here. This is the same dowel rods we used to plug the wheels with. 1.25 inches is what I had. And I've got it in between here. I'm kind of starting on one of the seams so I know there's one directly across from it. I want to make 2 complete turns around this. And basically we're just going to work our way right down this thing just like this. And the idea here is that this will equalize the tension on that rubber band, on that rubber tire, and make sure that it's not tighter in one area than the other. So give me a few minutes to do this. And once that's done, we'll start the process of gluing these tires in place. I've made 2 trips around the wheel now with the dowel, and now we are ready to go ahead and cement these the tire in place. And to do that, I'm using basically a rubber cement. This is actually a cement that's made for these bandsaw tires. Again, got it from Woodworkers Toolworks. You can order these when you order your tires. You can order the cement at the same time. Basically, we're just going to put a coat on the wheel and on the tire, and we're going to roll it around again. We got a little opening right here that we can do this in. And while I'm doing it, I will also be going along with the ruler and checking to make sure I got my wheel, or my tire rather, right there in the center. So here we go. Good old rubber cement. You know, we're just going to come in here and spread it on both surfaces. And we will roll it forward a little bit. And again, checking my width. I need a 1/2 inch on each side. So it's going to take a little while to work around the wheel. But this will cement it in place. Well, I made it back around. You can see I'm back where I started. You can see the glue over here on this side kind of pulling apart. We're going to put a little bit more in there. It hasn't had time to set up yet. Really can't roll it any farther without getting back into the area we've already done. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little glue right there. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the dowel out. and make sure my tire's right where I want it. I've been checking that as we go around. And I think we're good. That tire is in place. So we just need to get the bottom one done now. So a little commercial here, guys, just because they're good folks and they've always treated me well. But if you're in the lookout for bandsaw tires, give Woodworkers Toolworks a call. Here's their phone number. They've got a website. I will say that their website, they don't have everything they have up on their website. So just because you don't see it there doesn't mean they don't have it. Give them a call, talk to them. They've good folks, very responsive. Have always worked good with me. In addition to bandsaw wheels, they do bandsaw blades. They do tool sharpening, saw blades, so forth like that. Pretty much all kinds of stuff for the woodworking industry. So again, Bobby Knorrick is the guy that I talk to all the time up there, and I've met him several times at Arn Fest and some of the other events I go to. Again, good folks, highly recommend them. And there's the outside view of the wheel with the new tires on it. We will be crowning these tires later on. We'll probably do that on the machine, but they are installed and they should hold up well. Just an update on the wheel. We got everything painted. I got the outer wheel. I just put an oil coating on this, just kind of letting this oil soak in, and that seems to be helping it as well. So this is ready to go back on the machine now. I think we still got, of course, got to do our pinstriping on this to finish it up, and we'll do that once we get it installed. Let me show you what we've done with the bandsaw to get ready for this. This bandsaw just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You notice I got it up on stilts right now, and with the wheel being a 48-inch wheel, and it being this low on the base, it's got to have room for that wheel to clear. I think I've showed in previously, I'll see if I can grab a picture and show you again, but I got a picture in a catalog that shows this machine where they actually cut a hole in the floor for the wheel to go through because it's just so big. Well, I can't cut a hole in my floor, not gonna cut a hole in my floor just to rebuild this saw. So solution here, we just jacked it up. So I've got some blocks up underneath it. Everything's stable, everything's fine, but that should give me just enough room for that wheel to clear and be able to make a turn down there on the bottom. So I think we are ready now to get this wheel. I'm going to use the gantry crane. Again, I'm out here by myself, don't have any help, so we'll use the crane to pick it up and set it in place. Here's that picture from the catalog I was telling you about, so you can see again, they just cut a hole in the floor for the wheel to go down through. Not an option for me, so we're jacking it up to get this thing built. We are finagling this thing around over here, kind of getting it in place. I picked the wheel and the shaft up over there with the gantry crane, and now I just need to kind of get it positioned where it needs to go. So I'm just kind of lowering it down close to where it needs to be. And need to take the gantry back a little bit more. All right, that's about as far back as I'm going to get because of the upper wheel being in the way, but I should be able to drop that shaft right in there. This is the piece that contains the top Babbitt bearings there. And get everything lined up. And we'll take our bolts and tighten it up. And we're going to tighten all these down. Nice and snug. All right, I think I can disconnect the wheel from the gantry. Well, there we go. Bottom wheel installed. This machine is really starting to look like a bandsaw again, and that's exciting news. I think we're going to pretty much stop right here. I'm running out of time today, and I need to get this video edited and ready to get out there. But we still got more work to do to the Diresta Bandsaw. I've got to get a shaft collar ordered and put on the back side of this shaft. There's nothing keeping it from coming out right now. Eventually, there'll also be a pulley that will put on a motor to drive this thing, but that's all yet to come. Need to get the tire installed, need to get the pinstriping done on the bottom wheel to match the top. And from there, we need to get the tables installed, need to get a motor put on here. Still lots of work to do, but she is really, really starting to, again, look like a bandsaw. So with that, guys, that is going to be a wrap. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments are always greatly appreciated. Hit that bell icon up there to get notifications when new videos are posted. And as always, a big, huge thank you to the supporters of the site out there who support on Patreon, PayPal, etc. We really couldn't bring all this content to you without your help. And with that, guys, we will sign off. We'll catch you on the next video again. Thanks for watching.